I forgot all about this, but according to mynorthwest.com, 10 years ago, I put an expiration date on myself that I would be dead in 10 years. I'd made the announcement during the evening show because we didn't really have much of a producer. I just blabbed for 3 hours. And Dan Mitchinson, who was my news guy, said, I'm going to keep track of that. I said, are you going to put an expiration date like on a milk, jug on tattoo that on myself that in 10 years, when I live like in 10 years, I'm going to be dead. I said, if I have a finish line, then I push. The last 100 yards of a 5K race, people tend to run faster than they did the rest of the race if they have anything left in the tank. Because the finish line is evident. You know that the end is near. So then each step you take has more gravitas. It has more effect because soon it will be over. And I had made that announcement. And then somebody wrote it up that apparently I was supposed to die. Was it last year? This year?
Yeah, last year. So there's a couple things that you plan to do over these next 10 years. Let's see if you've done them.
Oh, boy.
He says he's cutting his auctioneer dates down from 100 to 50.
Ugh.
Okay.
I threw 30 out. Okay.
All right. He plans to spend that extra time with his kids.
Sugar. Okay, don't read through the rest. Listen, you say things. Go ahead.
Okay, wait. I realize if you put a 10-year limit on yourself, you've got to get all that time in with your kids.
Right.
My kids are so unbelievably cute right now.
Yeah.
I like the fact that right now I've got precious time. He doesn't want to climb. You don't want to climb Everest. He definitely wants to do another Ironman competition.
Uh-huh.
And you're going to coach your son's football team.
I did that. I say this about the thing with the kids. Yes, you have your plans for your kids, but your kids have other plans, like spending less time with you. And they do that. And then they go out and you try to hey, let's go do this. And nah, they don't want to spend time with you. They do if you push them a little bit, but normally they've got their own friends and their own activities. This is stuff you sort of find out. Here's what precipitated this. I was at the Issaquah Cafe one day with Rye. This is more than 10 years ago, or about this time. I ran into this guy. He said, hey, I remember you. You did a story on me when you were at EV Magazine. And then I said, I kind of remember the story. And Rye was standing next to me. And I said, how you doing since then? And he goes, great. And he seemed really very happy. And then he said, I got pancreatic cancer, and I'm going to be dead in probably 3 months. Suddenly, the whole cafe, all the surroundings of the cafe suddenly just went away. And I was just looking at this guy. The sound of the tinkling glasses and the people eating just sort of faded. And I just looked at him and I said, I don't understand how you have 3 months and you're doing great. And he said, I'm free. I am free. This is the freest I've ever been in my entire life. I am free of everything. I've got 3 months to go. And I said, hey, who are you eating with? He said, no. I said, I'll buy you lunch. Can we sit here and talk? And I wanted Rye to hear this story because I thought this was an incredible perspective of life. Of course, it's missed on Rye was probably 12 at the time or a little younger. He didn't quite get it. Maybe later on he will. But I sat and I just quizzed the guy. I basically interviewed him for his entire BLT sandwich. And I said, so why free? And why does the end of your life in 3 months free you? And he said, I'm free of everyone's judgment. I'm free of my own judgment of my life. I'm free of the things that I'm supposed to be doing, supposed to be achieving. I'm free of a year from now. I'm free of 6 months from now. I am free. And I'm living completely and absolutely without regard. And I am totally and completely in this moment, this sandwich, this place, this conversation with you. I am utterly committed to this time. And I thought, whoa. So I gave myself, like he gave himself, a 3 month, because doctors had told him big pancreatic cancer would progress to this point. And he said, with the pain and stuff that they give you, I knew I'd be okay with that. And I'm accepting of it. So I thought, okay, after I was sort of coming back to the reality of I've got to get up the next day and life consists of doing things again, I thought I'll do the same thing with myself. So that's where that came from. That was the impetus of the entire idea of an expiration date.
So 10 years has passed. 11 years has passed. Do you feel like you spent those 11 years doing what you had intended to do?
You can all of a sudden, you can sort of create a false expiration date for yourself, but the true reality of knowing that it really may or may not. But then the death of people, right? The death of Dori. Now I know, I'm 61. Something could happen to you, right? You get cancer, because then you get a little further, get more miles on you. All of a sudden, stuff can go wrong. So, I just thought, now I really, really, really do I have the time to be more present. And I think a lot of people my age get to this where all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Life consists of two things, what you have to do and what you want to do. If you were successful enough to have some power to do the things that you want to do instead of what you have to do. When you're younger, it's everything you have to do, right? You get book reports and then college and then the jobs, and you're 24, what Jacob's 23 years old, the stuff he has to do, right? But you get older and all of a sudden you got what you want to do. And then you learn to forgive and forget the other stuff and just stay present in this moment, right?
Well, it's very hard to do when you, because you have a busy life, still have things you have to do. So it's sort of a collision of those things, right? You think, well, wouldn't it be great if I didn't have to do all these things? But then I look at that and I think, wow, I look at a great abyss, right? Like, wait a minute, if I didn't have to do anything, would I really be happy, or would I just be sort of floating out there?
Well, why isn't it an
no
abyss,
purpose?
Sherry? What do you mean an abyss?
It just feels like, I'm so driven by, doing what I need to do every day and getting everything done and all of those things, that if I didn't have to do that anymore, would it be relief, or would it be this great vast nothingness where what does anything matter now? I don't have to do it. Like there would be no purpose or no I don't know. It's a weird feeling. Do you have a 10-year plan now?
Yeah. I mean, like, for instance, I could quit this job tomorrow. I don't need and I only do the job because it's fun. You and Andrew make it fun. But it's time.
Oh, come on.
And Jacob.
Okay, good.
No, honestly. If it stops being fun, I enjoy the time I spend with all of you. But if this is what I want to do, not what I have to do. The other part of it was like this weird sense, because when you get older, oh my God, your so-and-so's got cancer, so-and-so had a heart attack.
I know, it's horrible.
When I was standing there watching my cabin burn on New Year's Eve, and 7 hours earlier, I had got a call from Suzanne, Dori's wife, and said Dori had a heart attack, and the firemen were there, and he is over at Northwestern, and I'll keep you updated. And, she was very, very analytical. She's sort of spelling out all the stuff she's going to do, and she wants to talk to me first and then talk to this other person. I could tell she was sort of just really in that mindset, that sort of executive part of the brain, which is just planning. And I stood there watching my cabin burn. I know you wanted to know why. That was the first question you asked, how did it set on fire? But that aside, I thought, in a perspective.
That was my executive functioning.
Right. So I'm watching it burn, but then it's snowing, and the snow's turning back and forth from rain and snow, and it's freezing rain, and the wind is blowing, and I'm watching the firemen lollygag. And I thought, in the big thing, a big picture, here's my buddy in the hospital unconscious from a heart attack. And I thought it was one of these big moments of like, the material thing doesn't matter, right? It's about the relationships that matter. So trying to make those more real, more authentic, and not getting caught up and constantly projecting out. Oh, a year from now I'll have this, and then 6 months, the plan, always the plan. It's not that you're not making plans, you're still getting up and doing stuff. But as the Buddha, I think it was Buddha, said, the ecstasy first and then the laundry. Write that one down, Andrew. I don't think it's Buddha, but somebody like that.
Yeah, I don't know if Buddha knew about laundry, but I think that I know. I think it's admirable. I really do. I think that if there's a way to focus your life in on that's all we have. Nobody knows what could happen, and everybody's been through something that came out of the blue. So it's it's one of those things where if you can try to remember, this is the only moment you've got. So make the best of it, or suffer. And why suffer? Why not make the most of everything you can?
And there's a story about a guy, and he and his wife would take a walk after dinner. They would have dinner. They lived in a little apartment, and they would walk down the street at night. And they would head down the same street, and she would stop always at the same store. And in the window was a red dress. And it had been in the window for a very long time. And she would always stop. Her husband was a couple feet in front of her. They were walking the dog. And he would back up with the dog and come back. And she was fixated by this dress in this window. And he would look at her, looking at the dress. And I don't know how many times he must have said to her, "What do you do? What, really? Where are you going to wear that?" She said, "I just love that dress." "But where are you going to wear it? What? Come on." And then he'd pull her off, and they would head down the rest of the road to make the turn and head back home. And this was a continuing event in their life, stopping and looking at the dress and him trying to basically talk her out of it, or how ridiculous it was that it was a dress that would no place for that dress. And as the story goes, whether it's apocryphal or not, it doesn't matter. He buries her in the red dress, right?
Oh.
Yeah. But it is that sort of that live now feeling. And you can't live like every day. There's that country song about live like you're dying. Because if you lived every single day like that, well, then you'd be broke and it would wear out your prostate. So you just sort of just say, well, you got to take care of the things now, but you have to be present in this moment because you just don't know, especially as you have less time ahead of you than you have way behind you. There's more in the rearview mirror. So make things more precious. And that's why I signed up to do that hospice care stuff. COVID came in and they locked everything down, stopped it all. But the woman that had been doing it for 23 years, I think I told the story once on the radio, I'll tell it again. This woman had been doing it for 23 years. She said, it's really going to be amazing to you. You're going to find the number of people that are in hospice care, those that are alone, the family is living somewhere else or estranged from the kids, and they're there in their home and they're sitting in their bed and they're weeks away from going or maybe days away. The number of people that really felt that their life didn't matter. And she said, here's what you can do for them, and be as sincere as possible. Ask them about their life, ask them about experiences, ask them about lessons they've learned. And if they come across one that they seem particularly animated by, tell them you're going to share that with friends, family, or your children. She said, I've done this a number of times, and I've gone back in and talked to the patient the next day. I said, and they will say to me, did you tell your kids about that time when I whatever the story was? And she said, I did tell my children that, and they were amazed by your story. She said, that person laying there with, days away from their life ending, all of a sudden feel as if, she said, you see their body, their life, their face change. It's like this burden of a meaningless life has suddenly been lifted from them, that something will live on. She goes, it's an incredible gift if you can give it to somebody. But she goes, that would be the one thing you're going to find to be really most illuminating as you sit beside somebody who's going, is that their life didn't mean anything. And that's just tragic, and remind me of my father's favorite line about most men lead lives of quiet desperation and die with a song in their heart.